Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our webinar on customers' best practices with a SAS solution for IFRS 17. My name is Alexander Bruder. My guest today has years of experience in implementing software solutions for risk management. Hello Marco Heidelberger.
Hello everybody.
Marco, can you give us a very short description of the SAS solution for IFRS 17? We had a webinar on this topic, but just 2 sentences.
Yeah, in a brief glance, it's an integrated solution for IT, actuaries and finance to address the end-to-end process and workflow for IFRS 17.
Okay, in this webinar we want to focus on the experiences that customers made with the SAS solution for IFRS 17. Marco, what are the main reasons that led customers to decide for SAS?
Yeah, I'm quite happy to announce that now by end of March 2018, we already won a big globally operating and primary insurer and a national operating primary insurer, both with life and non-life business. And in the following slide, I would like to highlight some of the reasons why they chose SAS for IFRS 17. One of the main reasons is the maturity of our software stack and the technology stack behind. And those gave us a quite successful experience and also, of course, our customers on IFRS 17 within several proof of concepts and pilots that we performed and still are performing. The technology that's used is currently in place at more than 70 banks and 45 insurers. So, for example, for IFRS 9 and Solvency II purposes, it has a dedicated focus on regulatory and audit requirements, and we use the most modern technology to make the overall process fast and reliable.
Besides technology, what are other reasons?
Yeah, another very important reason are the content packages that we provide. The content packages, they address several business topics and include a data model, but also out-of-the-box reports and so on. And the purpose of them is to give our customers a quick ramp-up phase in proof-of-concept pilots and projects. And this predefined content is maintained by SAS. It leverages the skill sets of all the different organizational departments like the IT, the actuaries, and the finance. And very important to mention, it's very flexible and adaptable to customer-specific needs. So we can easily perform configurations and customizings to even further integrate into our customer system landscapes. And that brings me directly to the next point. It's also a matter of integration because we very often see actuarial tools and accounting tools in place. And so for IFRS 17 purposes, we have to match exactly between those two functions and bridge the gap between them. But it's not only bridging a gap in terms of systems and applications, but also an organizational topic. And IFRS 17 is a perfect example what kind of close operation between actuaries and finance is required. And last but not least, risk and finance management is a clear strategy for SAS. We have a long-term commitment on those topics, and we can easily prove that, for example, by different content packages that we already provide and regularly update, like Solvency II, IFRS 9, underwriting risk management for insurance to generate and calculate cash flows, but also many more.
You talked about the gap between, closing the gap between actuaries, finance and other departments. What are the highlights of the SAS solution?
The highlights of the SAS solution can be split into 2 parts. There's the central technical platform, and on the other hand, there's the business content that we provide. For the technical platform, some highlights that are quite important, that are very much appreciated by our customers are, for example, the fast close automation, which from a technical perspective is supported by parallelization and in-memory technology. Auditability is a very important aspect for regulatory topics. So we not only can trace the results from the source to the final and the feeding systems, but also we can trace the entire code that's running behind the scenes and the documentation that is directly attached to this code. A very important aspect is subledger functionality, which we provide by a versioning and historization concept, which again applies not only on the data and the results that we produce, but also on the code or the functions that are applied. So if I look into the future and we will see updates for IFRS 17, we can easily go back into a past reporting period and see the numbers that were generated there, but also the logic that was applied on this data, and to explain to an auditor how we generated those results. To integrate into existing system landscapes, it's quite important to have open interfaces, and SAS is very flexible and adaptable to various source and target systems. This goes even beyond just data interfaces, but we more and more support also other software tools and applications and languages. And last but not least, this entire technical platform supports a business content concept, which means customers can download content packages like reports, like code and so on, roll it out on their technical platform, and then directly put it into use.
It is apparent, it's clear that a unified platform is very appealing for an IT department, but is it also useful for business users?
Yeah, and that's where the business content comes into place. And so, for example, for IFRS 17, our business content includes an end-to-end business workflow where you can see all the individual tasks that have to be performed, and also the functions that to have to apply these various tasks and trace the results. We have a predefined data model, which is perfectly fitted to IFRS 17 purposes, so it's neat and easy to integrate, especially if we have to load data from the various sources like the actuarial and accounting sources. We have a powerful calculation engine in place, which is the core DNA of SAS, performing statistical calculations as they are required for the premium allocation, the building block, and the variable fee approach. We have an easy-to-use interface, especially for accounting users, for example, where they configure business rules to generate the postings, and out of these postings then to fill a trial balance, perform self-service analysis, and also internal and external reporting. It's important to mention that all this content is provided, maintained, and also updated by SAS. And this content is fully flexible to leverage the existing tools previously mentioned, but also to adapt to customer-specific needs in terms of configurations and customizations. And as mentioned before, this is a long-term strategy of SAS, and customers can reuse existing skill sets and leverage this technical platform also for other purposes like Solvency II, the underwriting for property and casualty, cash flow generation, IFRS 9, and many, many more.
Marco, you mentioned already that the customers realized to integrate the different requirements of different departments like actuaries, like IT, like accounting. How did they do, and what are the benefits for the users?
Yeah, that was usually a very important topic during our proof of concepts and pilots to demonstrate how the users can interact with the software. And we see here various screenshots out of the solution. And the upper one with the label Process Manager, that's a central entry point for all users, if they are from IT, from the actuarial, or from the accounting side. And through this Process Manager, they can steer the entire application, and for each user we have dedicated interface to use their specialized skill sets to apply for IFRS 17. So if we go into some examples, then everything starts with data, and usually that's a topic driven by the IT. So from the Process Manager they can execute a task, for example in this case load data, and this task, it will trigger the data management functions like the ETL processes in the dedicated data management module. In a second step, we can apply validation rules on the data which has been loaded. And these validation rules, they can be easily configured with a module we call Rules Manager, an easy-to-use interface to establish technical but also business validation rules, and they are applied then in our data management module, which means during the ETL processing. And after this data is loaded and validated, we have a checkpoint where we can decide, or our customers can decide, if the numbers look okay, if the data looks okay, or if we need some rerun in terms of we have to reload the data from the source system to cleanse the data and to restart the process. Let's assume that the data looks good and nice and we have a handshake from the IT to the actuaries. Then it's up to the actuaries through the process manager interface to trigger the calculations that are required for the premium allocation, building block, and the variable fee approach. Out of this execution engine, they will produce the numbers that are required to pick up by the accountants. So we have the handshake from actuaries to accountants, and then the so-called posting rules that were configured by the business people, by the accountants, they will be applied and generate at the end what we see on the right-hand side of this picture, the trial balance and so on. So that's an overall integrated process. All the users have access to one central interface, but they also have access to very user-specific interfaces to leverage exactly their skill sets and know-how. And all these interfaces, they come with predefined content like predefined reports, predefined business rules, predefined calculations, predefined ETL processes.
So to make it short, we have an integration of different technologies. We have an integration of different tasks for different departments, like data management, and we can define rules and etc. So we address different departments and link them together.
Exactly. And we can really streamline the process, make it fast, but also auditable to follow up everything which is going on and to retrace the numbers and the results, which is, from an audit perspective, one very relevant and important aspect.
And auditability is a very important point for insurers.
Definitely.
Marco, if our audience wants to learn more on this topic, on experience with the SAS solution for IFRS 17, how can they do?
Yeah, I'm happy to share my contact information with you. So please approach me, write me an email, contact me through LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to set up an appointment with you and go into further details of our solution.
Marco, thank you very much for your insights.
You're very much welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your precious time. And we are looking forward to discussing how you could benefit from the SAS solution for IFRS 17 too. Have a nice day and goodbye.
Bye-bye.